Good evening, everyone. I'm Neha, Ambassador of Change for GETI, that is Global Education and Training Institute, founded and conceptualized by Dr. Sunita Gandhi with the vision of disrupting the education movement as we know it. Under the same umbrella of GETI, we organize service and in-service training for teachers so that they can spearhead this disruptive education movement. And we also organize talks where we invite policymakers, educators, researchers, and various people from the education fraternity to discuss various best practices in education with us. And today I'm very honored and thrilled to have with us all the way from Armenia Dr. Elisa, who is a global educator and speaker, and she will be talking about a very important topic that is teaching classrooms and English, basically English and its various peculiarities that exist in the classroom for teachers and students as well. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Good evening one more time, maybe good afternoon or good morning in some countries who will be our audience today. Today, yes, I'm going to speak about the teaching classroom English, especially about the instructions, about maybe the material or what kind of instruction or maybe questions or commands can be given students. Especially, I will stress the first level, especially when we deal with the students who are beginners, who are starters, and English language is like a foreign language for them to learn. But I think all the instructions that I'm going to share here in our platform today will be useful not only teaching English language, but I think any foreign language because we can just relocate something or transfer some kind of instructions, commands, etc. Now I will just make sure. Do you see my screen or not? Just to make sure.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We do see your screen, and the stage is now yours. Please proceed. Thank you.
Okay. Uh-huh. I will make it like the one, a bigger one, and we shall continue it. Now, as I have told you, we are going to speak how can we teach classroom English. Just imagine a situation you are in the classroom, and what is important, you are an English, for example, teacher, but your students don't know any word from English language. Maybe in some cases from the cartoons or for some where they have heard hi or hello or bye bye bye, such kind of things, and it's all. What can we do in order to help our students to learn English and first of all to get acquainted them with English environment, English language environment, and also atmosphere. And today I'm going to speak about this one and uh, go and what can we do in order to make our students be interested and also at the same time not only learn the language but also have a fun, enjoy. And what can we do? As teachers, when we usually enter the classroom for the first time, the first question will be, hello or good morning, dear children. I am, for example, teacher Alice. I'm going to teach you English language. In some cases, maybe in English, in some cases, it can be using my native language in order not to frighten them from the first class and knowing of what is she talking, I don't know. And that's why we are going to step by step learn how can we get acquainted with the students and also what can we do, what kind of classroom English can we teach our students. The first one, when I greet my students, usually with smile and with just shaking my, or in some cases, you can just according to your um, culture, according to your country's traditions, you can just greet them because, as we know, greetings are different in different countries and in different cultures and traditions. And according to it, you can just choose a way to say. For example, in my country, we can just say hello or good morning, and I can just have a smile on my face and just shaking my hand. I can just say that really I can greet my students. The next part is that I'm going to have and get acquainted with my students to tell them my name. If they are beginners and it's for the first time to know English language as a foreign language, I will say I am trying to have some kinds of gestures, especially with the hand movements. I will just create them. I am teacher Alice and I will be your teacher, your English teacher. But if my students are not starters or beginners, but they know some words in English, and it's not for the first time, for example, to start learning English language, I will start from another point. I will ask them to, if they are especially primary students, but I have really tried these activities that I'm going to offer you to with elders, with maybe not primary but also middle school and high school students, and it really worked. What have I done? I offered them to draw pictures with their names, letters. Let me see. Now, some of you know me as Dr. Alessa, but in everyday life, it's not my name, and my friends, my colleagues knew me with another name, and now I'm going to offer you to guess it. The instruction is, please, students, draw um, pictures of all letters beginning with the letter of your name. For example, I will start from my name and I will show my students. Now, let's start at first guessing my name. And I will now going to show you different pictures. You just take the first letters of each picture and you will get my name. Let's start. The first one is, I will ask my students and they will tell me. And also let me try to do it with you too. Maybe it will be and you will guess my name too. The first picture is this one. It's apple and I will take the first letter as A. The second one is another picture and it's going to be like a lemon and I will take a letter L. The next one, I'm showing the third picture and I will take this ice cream, the first letter as I. And the fourth one is going to be like carrot, C. And the last one is going to be egg and I will take the first letter E. And as you see, my first name, I just got it as Alice, not Alessa formally, but Alice. And I will, okay, now, students, I don't know your name and let's draw and find out. And it really works. And I have tried it many times, for many times, and really it works. And from the first lesson, your students are very excited. They are very interested because they are not just going to read or listen or something during the lesson, but also they are going to draw and a little bit, if especially when you deal with the primary school students, it's very important because you can just merge having your lesson at the same through the art, and it really begins because as we know, kids, they like to play, to draw, to sing, or to dance very much, and this one opens. Okay, the first step we have done, and we are going to get acquainted, and each student will draw their name, and we shall can ask some of the pupils, or we can just mix the sheets of papers they have drawn and to ask their friends. It can be group work, it can be peer work, where they are going to guess through the pictures whose name is it. After greeting, let's start a little bit. This was like a practical one for you, but let's go to a little bit theoretical part. Because when we enter, we try to just um, be merged like native language and English language together in order just having a great mixture, and it will help me just to learn. And first of all, why should I use classroom English? Why is it really good one or not, either good or bad one? And will it be beneficial for my teaching or not? First of all, it can maintain a good English speaking atmosphere because when they will start listening the instructions, the commands, the questions, and also in some cases, why not the teacher's behavior in an English speaking environment, it will make my students just start thinking that it's not their traditional countries. For example, it can be a French culture, and I am from Armenia, Armenian culture, etc. It can be English speaking culture and English speaking environment, and they are going step by step, get acquainted and used to this culture. And the next step that goes it will help my students keep them thinking in English, because when I will ask, for example, how do you do, it will make my student think the answer, and also to think the answer of this my question in English, and will say I'm fine, okay, and step by step he will start thinking about it in English too, and also will help learners focus on learning and using the language. As much as I'm going, as more as I'm going to just use English language and giving the instruction, giving everything in English language, my students also, they are going to listen me, and also they are going just to try to answer me. Maybe it can be words at first, it can be phrases at first, but step by step they are going to build the whole structure of the sentence they want to express, they think and want to express at the same time. And in this case, I just using English, classroom English by the teacher is very useful one, because first of all we should just concentrate how we are going to teach them, and how can it be, because in some cases we can just say that when we give them instructions, when we ask them questions, or in some cases even give feedback or make comments in English, they will listen carefully and will try to remember all these phrases and expressions. And next time, then when they are get acquainted with it, something, maybe a phrase that is familiar to them, it will be very useful, and at the same time it will make easier for them just to use this language, English language in this case, and it will be also very easier for them to just transfer to another field and to know more and more phrases or words, or why not some rules from the grammar, etc. And in this case, we shall start from the point, how much classroom English should I use? Should I start? I will enter the classroom and say, hello students, I am teacher Alice, and today we are going to learn this one. And be sure your students will just just will with open eye, who is she? What is she? But everything thinking in their native language, especially when they are starters and don't know anything in language. And what can we do? Should we use, in some cases, our native language, language one, in teaching, in the process of teaching language to second language teaching, or not? Is I think it's a very important one, because we should first of all, if we deal with the beginners and starters, we should base on native language. In some cases, I can just say some words, phrases at the same time. The first stage at the beginning, in some cases, just translating. If the sentence is too long for them to catch, to translate in their mind, and to understand and try to, in some cases, answer to my question. But if they are short, for example, phrases like listen, stand up, sit down, etc., in these cases, we can even not translate for them, because we know these are some kind of instructions that they are going. If I, for example, once I will say stand up, just showing with my, they will, and in some cases maybe I will bring like an example. I can be I just stand up from my seat and say, stand up, and they will understand. Next time, I won't just translate for them. Stand up in your native language means this is word, for example, because in this case, they will get used to it. That every time the teacher is going translate everything, and even if I don't understand this one, it means that no matter, no problem. My teacher is going to translate, and even if they are in even on higher levels, they will still just expect that the teacher is going to translate for them. What does it mean? In this case, we should just keep the balance. In which cases we can translate the phrase, the sentence for understanding this. Maybe if it's a new expression or phrase they have never met during our lessons, we can just translate, but at the same time, paying attention to the fact that for this next time, I'm not going to translate this phrase because last time we did it. And now you know the translation, and we are going ahead and not standing, and you have tried to keep the balance to remember to by repeating, by revising, or using any kind of activities and games and helping them just to remember it. And also we shall try give the instructions in English, but in some cases if they are too difficult for them to understand, especially when I am instructing. They are going to do some tests or just activities, and the instruction is too long. I can just divide it part by part and give them part by part in order, because in some cases they will be confused if their teacher just refuses to speak in their language. I can give the assignment. It can be not conscious or not just realize some kinds of assignment or instruction for them. And next time they are not going to do the activity because they haven't understood it. And that's why here is very um, we should pay attention to it. At the same time, we can just do give some kinds of translation, but try to avoid a habit of translating every time for them everything. In some cases, even with just gestures or hand movements, I should try them to guess what is my idea, what we are going to do. And in some cases, when we just do it, we teach when. In which cases we can just teach them, and when should use, in some cases, our own language. Because we can have different kinds of situations in which the student can be complicated and doesn't know what to do. And that's why in some cases I can use it. But in some cases, I should just follow the classroom English instructions and structure, and also in some cases questions which will help me to make this balance between the students and at the same time between the materials that I'm going to teach them, and also basing on the material they have already known. Now, the first one, what we do when we plan our lesson, we try to divide it into different stages which are important and which are just turn by turn and they are connected to each other. In this case, when we plan the first one, we choose the topic. And according to the topic, I will try to find and choose methods or just techniques and materials, handouts, everything that I will need while having this lesson and planning this lesson. And in this case, I will try to choose also all the instruction for the task I'm going to ask the students. And everything that will ask, I will try to ask myself. I will try to imagine myself instead of student when I will say, stand up, will he catch the idea what I want him to do? And after it, I will try to make a list of instructions for each activity if there are different kinds of activities, taking into account the age peculiarities of my students and also the material features that I'm going to teach them. And I will try to make a list and try to choose only the best and the most appropriate instructions for this lesson. And after it, I'm going to get connected with them, trying to basing on the ones that they know and trying to teach them every time. Just try to add instructions, and you will see that from time to time you can just while revising you will see that your students have already got used to the instruction you have already been used uh, just have used in during your classroom and also during your lessons. Another one is that we can each for each part choose special instructions for our students. And while having such kind of instructions, these instructions will help me to go and to know more. As you see, here I am going to just give some kinds of them. I can say, good morning, everybody. Or I used to say every time when I enter the classroom, I always ask my students, how are you? Or how is life? Or are you feeling better? For example, one of the students, when I say stand up in order to greet my students, and I see someone is still sitting or is looking for something in his bag or in her bag, how is, are you feeling better today? Or has anything happened to you? For example, Tom, and he at once the student whose name I'm giving is just uh, immediately they answer. Then, for example, I will just get acquainted, in some cases saying mine, and when we try to begin, I can have a game, activity, or okay, after asking them how they are, we can go, for example, let's begin our lesson now, and in while or if there is a noise, I can just wait, or in some cases, or just raising the hands. In some classes, for example, if there is the beginning of the classroom, the just bell has just rung up and say, I will just after greeting, I maybe a few seconds I wait, just in order to be sure that they are quiet, they are ready to start the lesson. In some classes, even we know I have an instruction. If you are ready to start the classroom, just show me your hand, or they have in some cases handout they can show it. In some cases I can use different kinds of ways just to begin. And everything I can just for everyone I can just ask about the homework, who is absent, what is our homework, is there anything extra or additional one, or if someone is, for example, has already told me what is our homework today, the test and the assignment, I can ask another student, can you tell me, for example, what test do we have today? And he or she is going just to repeat. And in this case, I try to make my students get involved in the lesson and just to, even with facial expressions, to show me that they are ready really to start. And after it, while giving and asking them, I try to make my questions clear in order not long questions, not complicated or with some difficult words in order to make my students just be confused and not to knowing what to answer. No, very clear, very short and appropriate questions and instructions usually I give my students. And what do I usually pay attention to? Usually, instructions, first of all, I choose the ones that I'm going to use them very often, especially every day. For example, greetings or listening, or in some cases, I will just stand up, sit down, come to the blackboard and show me or something or listen, or who is ready, for example, raising the hands, or if there is a written activity they are doing, I will give an instruction who will just the one who will finish, don't just shout, just for a second, just raise your hand and I will see your hand and will be sure that you have already, for example, finished your activity. And also, as you see, while giving the instruction, everything I just connect and merge to each other. The instruction, for example, listen, it is or speak, or watch, or see, or look. I can just use my eyes for it. Everything are connected to each other. And while using this, in some cases, I will say that they are not linked together. For example, I can't say good morning, hi, hello, or something. I give the same of the same chapter, let's say from the same chapter, two, three questions or instructions at the same time. Now, just choose and be careful. I can use listen this time, or just label the picture, or match the picture, or choose this one. The first time I will just start through or with choose. The next time I will give another something similar to this instruction, for example, matching, or the next time I will say just try to show something other every time from each part of like kinds of hand movements or gestures or instruction types, choose one and represent from each part of for the lesson, and it will really work, and really will be clear from let's say from the simple one to go to the most difficult instruction. That the next one here that we have, how can we teach classroom English? What is best to? Is it best, for example, to start from the middle one, from just to wait for a few times, or just to think that there are some kinds of instruction. This part I have already completed, and now I am going to know. Just imagine a situation that you are going to teach your students new words. For example, it can be numbers, it can be fruits, it can be rooms, for example. How can we teach? We try to use and choose some kind of really good techniques in order to ask my students try to remember, or through the games or through the drawing these words, or just playing the words. For example, here I have an example. As you see here is teaching new words, and while practicing, we have the photos where my students the students are just standing at the photos, and while the teacher names, for example, living room, the student goes and stands by the picture where is you can see the living room. Or when he says kitchen, she goes to the where. It's a very good one. This one you can just play this game with the structures. You can just use have different kinds of pictures. Now I will show something you which I use very useful one. This the chapter is called like class rules. It's very useful one, and I read especially this use these structures in primary school. And it's at the same time it gives me an opportunity to check the attention of my students. Now, we have such kind of thing like listen, and they try to just connect with the animal listen, trying to the next one, for example, stay on task, such kind of flashcards I have, which are really they work and help my students. For example, the next one is ask questions. It's time to ask questions. The next one is review your words, and they, as you see, each of them they are connected with one animal, and they try to this is this one sheep, it was this one, or I just say stay organized, show such kind of things. If there is a noise in my classroom, I can just show this one and they try, stay organized, try to keep, and also this one participate in classroom, in class, and it's also while showing them, I can just use different kinds of flashcards, where is um, different kinds of instructions, and really it will work for my students. For example, I can ask them, have a flashcard where I can just stand up, sit down, listen, watch, speak, such kind of things, or write, I can, or I can say read or speak. And in some cases, as you see, I just use my hand in order to teach them to do it. And we shall start with as I have told you, from the simple one going to the most difficult context. And it will, for example, every time when I will enter my classroom and say, good morning or good afternoon or how are you? And I will say, I'm okay at first, I'm okay, at the same time showing I'm bad and so so. And every time when I will ask, how are you? They will just show me, I'm fine, I am not fine, or so so, not bad, just hesitating a little bit with the hand. And this will be helpful because I will repeat it every time and it will help my students to do it. And what is, I can, as I have mentioned, many of my just instructions give through the hands, through the flashcards, and also in some cases just repeating. I can stand up and say, stand up, I can say sit down. And when I see, for example, it's the middle of the lesson and my students are really too tired, I can just activate them playing such kind of things. Now, students, I'm going to tell you the instructions and you are going to, for example, repeat. You are going to show me the instructions and I will say, listen, and they have, or just I will show the instruction, this one, and they will say, listen. I will say, watch. They will just give me such kind of sign, or vice versa. I will say, open your books, close your books, such kind of things that are really very useful one for the students just to see. And in some cases, I can just in mix two instructions. For example, I can show and this one, which means listen and watch. And I will say all of you or everyone, such kind of things that really are very one. Or I can say different kinds of things like the whole sentence, or you all, you have to open your books and on page, for example, 25, in some cases, if they don't remember the ones, and it really works, and they really are very excited when they try to concentrate not only their attention on the instruction, what they are going to do, but at the same time also gives them an opportunity to be attentive and try to react with the activities or with the action, what kind of instruction I have given to them. Try to answer me. The next one, it can be demonstration. In some cases, for the first day, I can just take something and say, show me, this is one I am demonstrating for them. Or in some cases, I can just take any kind of book. For example, now students, we are going to open our books and just give them an opportunity. Or I will say, open your books on page 7 and at the same time showing. Now let's look at the pictures. Choose one of the pictures and tell me what is it. As you see, while showing at the same time, I am giving the instruction to my students. Or now, students, you are going to look at the picture, to write down the word or the first letter. Or I can just have another picture just saying, please look at this picture. Here we have the prepositions. Look at the picture and choose the right preposition. Where is our dog? What is it? I can just ask any kind of question in order just to be sure that my student really understood what is going to be. Or in some cases, I can just give them an instruction. Here, for example, I have three pictures and we have, if they can already read, and we are going just to ask them match the pictures with the right or appropriate paragraph of the text or part of text. And in every case, be sure that while demonstrating, they will remember. For example, when I open show, even in some cases while I'm speaking and demonstrating, it's very easy for them. Now, you say that as you see, I have given you many different kinds of things and steps for it. And now it's time to check. How to check understanding? Do they remember what kind of instructions we have done or what kind of instructions we have learned today or not? What can we do? First of all, when we give, it is like observation and see what do they do. For example, when I say open your books and showing, I will at the same time try to check, are they opening their books? Or when I say listen, or when I say sit down, I will see observing just which student has already, for example, sat down, or which student has already opened his book, etc. The next step is that in some cases, maybe learners who haven't understood what kind of instruction I have given them and they just hesitating, they try to look around looking what their friends are doing. And only after it means when we look and see that there are some students, we are trying to do it one more time, just repeating, or in some cases, they trying and watching and seeing that they, for example, when I say open your books, they open books, they start to open and try to remember this instruction too at the same time. And also is some students tell others what to do. For example, there can be two students at the same desk and one opens and say, open your book. The teacher says, open your book. And they start. Their friend, in this case, just uh, helps them. And most important, looking at the faces of your learners, you will just understood. Have they already known? Can they do it or not? It's very important one because in some cases we can just say that these kinds of classroom English instructions or words or phrases that I'm going to use my lesson, they are very simple one, but for some students it can be not simple one and it will be difficult for them. And what is important for this? Every time when you use classroom in English phrases, sentences, try to pronounce them separately and very clear. When I say good morning, in some cases my students will like good morning, this one. But when I say good morning, children, and as you see, I just pronounce the word separately. It will help my student just to listen, to catch it, and why not to repeat them. Or when I say please stand up and showing, demonstrating, and pronouncing the sentence, this one very clearly, it's also a very good one. And also I can use different kinds of just energizing and activating games and activities to repeat all this. And step by step, as you see, I just introduce you with the like first level, how can we start what kind of classroom English sentences, phrases can be used in order to get acquainted, to just involve my student into English speaking environment. And after doing step by step, we can just pass to the second stage where I can just choose more difficult, maybe in some cases complicated phrases and sentences for teaching them classroom just English. And after with the instructions, with the questions, when I say, "Who are you okay?" or "What's happened?" in some cases, these kinds of instructions and these kinds of just gestures and hand movements will help me to teach my English language as a foreign language easier when I just will just say good morning, sit down without any gestures, without any psychological just trust towards the students. And in this case, I'm sure you will just win. And one day you will say that these instructions that you have taught for the first time during your first lessons, they were very simple one, but due to this instruction and due to these phrases, now you have really good knowledge they have, and they are very skillful and practical in using English language in their everyday life. These are the main and the basic instructions and also part that I wanted to just represent you during my one presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any kind of questions, just tell me.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for that very illustrative presentation that you just gave on a very wonderful and informative topic. There's one question that it's in the audience, if you'd like to take it. This person is talking about what peculiarity means, and would you be able to describe what a peculiar situation means in a classroom? Would you like to take this one?
Yes, I think it depends on what level your students are and what age, and according to it, you can just use such kind of thing. Because when I work with the kids who are 4 and 5 years, I use art to teach them foreign language. When I have adults, for example, I have students who are 60 and more, 65 years old, and it's a little bit difficult, yes, for to teach them in this age. In this during with the students, I use another one. I can't use, for example, art in order to teach them. In this case, I try to know more about them and what they are interested in, and try to connect their interest to language learning skills. And it also helps. But I will say that they play games very well, and in some cases, it's also very usable for them. It depends on with the age and what is your aim. For example, in my school, English is third foreign language. After Russian and
Okay.
French, we only start learning English. And
Okay.
they have some kind of words from other languages, and I try to just
Mm.
um, through these words to teach them. In some cases, the same word can be in Russian, or, for example, or in French, the same word, and I try to connect it in and use this technique. Or I can use some kinds of intonation or pronunciation, even songs. They are very helpful one. I can through the song, for example, the parts of body. I use songs, and they try to show everything. And while it, we try to repeat and do and try to learn it. It
Okay.
you can use any kind nowadays, especially when there are different kind of platforms, tools, techniques online. You can use them to teach it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a very wonderful answer on, using various tips that teachers can use. Again, ma'am, once again, before we conclude, since we are a teacher training institute, we really focus on training teachers. So, what would be your take on training teachers, to inculcate, the usage of, say, songs like you just mentioned, or various play cards and everything, just to move them from the normal chalk and talk method of teaching to all these methods so that they can handle various peculiarities, the importance of teacher training, if you'd like to sort of build on that.
Yes, it's very important one because we always, when we have some kinds of sessions, webinars, We speak about how can we teach the children, yes, but when we
Yep.
have teacher trainings, in this case, let's say that our teachers are the same students instead of, but they are adults, let's say. And
Absolutely.
what is
Yep.
interesting, when you are having a teacher training session or some kind of courses for the teachers, you should concentrate on practical one,
Mm-hmm.
to plan and to conduct your training course in the way just to use. For example, you can, your session is going to be 1 hour. Let's
Okay.
say you can start with the icebreaker on something, then
Mm-hmm.
pass to the theoretical part. For example, it's lesson planning.
Okay.
Let's take this topic. I will
Yep.
try to show, to represent what is the structure of lesson planning. What can you do in order to have an effective lesson plan, not lesson plan A, but also having LP2 or LPB in order if you have some kinds of extraordinary situation in your classroom. And this method is not going to be, let's say, useful. Let's go to the plan B in order to use this technique or method. And then let's say after theoretical part, try to just go to the practical part, and everything that you have explained to your teachers while being as a trainer, try and ask to just design such kind of activities, or even in some cases lesson plan if my topic is lesson planning, in order to see that everything that I like given you, how you are going to answer me. And according
Absolutely.
to the theoretical part that I have explained and presented you, designed for you, now you are going to design your own lesson planning, giving them some kinds of materials, instruction, giving them short time, not long time, short time, just asking them that, let's imagine that it's an extra situation and you have no time, you are going just not in details, but just with points, try to design your lesson, what is going on, and try to and ask one of the teachers to represent it, and you will see what is the feedback. It means that when you give something, you want to see the result. In this case,
Absolutely.
while designing the lesson plans by teacher, I will see that everything I have explained, it has just not to attend, take the certificate that I have attended this course, but to take
Absolutely.
something for you, because you can listen, you can take your certificate, but when you enter your classroom, just you behave yourselves that you haven't attended. No, the training course is for it that you take something. Let's say in some cases it is said that teachers are like robbers because we steal, yes, something from each one, try to gain it and to just transfer to classroom. And from this point, I will make build this one, such kind of training
Absolutely.
course session.
That's a very, very beautiful point, ma'am, you've raised about the importance of teacher training and how better teachers can, learn from each other and take away from the trainings that institutes like us strive to provide. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us this evening. I think it's afternoon or morning at your end. Thank you so much for sparing time and taking our audience, basically our teachers, educators, and parents, and everyone who will eventually watch through this very informative and interesting presentation. Thank you so much. A very happy Easter to you, and I hope to see you around again.
Thank you. Happy Easter to everyone. Thank you one more time for the invitation to be on your platform. See you.
Always a pleasure, ma'am. Pleasure, ma'am. Thank you.